and I feel like, we've been talking a lot about too, and as I think we'll always do. Just stay subscribed. Make no mistake. We'll always talk a lot about the hypothetical pickup. I guess I gotta be honest. I think that's just the lens that we view the NBA in. If we're trying to build and perfect the ultimate 5-man lineup for whatever pickup game we're playing in, or 5-man lineup slash, maybe if you get a full team, like 10-man team, and then the roster and the different combinations of lineups that you can have out there. But just in that thought of taking the guys, because I've always ranked the guy, that's kind of been again the way that we view basketball, but the way that we kind of viewed the player rankings as well too, is like, how would we draft the players in that scenario? Because that's even a little different than some of the career stuff, where it's like, okay, now I'm getting them for what, a game, a season, and I guess we could come up with however many scenarios we want to use to rank these guys, but it's a more of just a talent on the court thing than a career thing. And it's not a full player ranking, as well too. It's not like we would make our full legacy ranking based on that. But I just like to keep that in my mind as the main thing for how to remember a guy's basketball career. But again, I've always kind of associated just that spot in that the hypothetical big board with their basketball talent, and it's always it always is out actually close to the real legacy ranking, where it's like, just take the best player available. MJ is going to be number 1, LeBron's going to be number 2, Bill Russell, Kareem, however you want to make the debate, for third, fourth, fifth, sixth best player in the league, with Kareem, Russell, Magic, Bird, Duncan, all those guys, however you wanted to make the debate, that's the tier of guys, shuffle them around however you want. There's still probably no wrong move. Well, you're going to build your friend in this hypothetical league, your third overall pick, you're going to take Russell instead of Kareem and feel bad about it. You're probably still going to be okay as a franchise, in whatever hypothetical world we're playing in. But I was thinking about it a little bit more from a realistic kind of GM standpoint, and more of a maybe more of a positional value type standpoint, where again, we could reduce NJ's game down to the sort of on the paper, what he was as a player, and leave out the killer mentality, the aura, the clutchness, and just the fact that everybody in the league and everybody in NBA history would have feared going up against MJ. But you think about a player like that, and you think about a player like LeBron, you think about Kareem, you start getting into really a one of one, but you start thinking about the uniqueness of the guys. And again, not to say that chat, this is where this is where the adults just turn off the stream, if the adults figured out to log into a YouTube live stream. But it's not to say that MJ's not chat, I'm not a 1-of-1, not a LeBron's a 1-of-1, but this is where we're really gonna get crazy. This is just thinking it out, chat. This is, I guess, not saying what we believe. This is just a thought that this is just something I was thinking out. In this drafting situation, a guy like MJ, could you draft a guy like T-Mac a couple of rounds later? If we're really fantasy drafting this out, chat, and are you kind of getting the same thing? Again, you're not getting MJ, but you think about, again, I don't know how, is this a 12-person fantasy league, or are we redrafting NBA history and going 30 teams? But still, you could still probably get Tracy McGrady in the second. And if you're drafting early enough to take MJ as well too, you're on that turn early in the third. So you'd really have to risk it for getting McGrady in the fourth if we were drafting all 30. But McGrady in the third, and then surrounding him with these other talents, it becomes a thing of what kind of team you could build with the types of players. And when you start at least looking at types of players, Steph might be the most valuable 1-of-1 player of all time, chat. And again, I don't think this is necessarily a hot take, but at least for me, sort of realizing it in this fantasy draft context, where you're if you don't get Steph on your team in this scenario, and honestly, it doesn't even matter how many teams are in this league. Is it a 30-person redraft? Is it a 2? Is it me and Sam just redrafting these teams just back and forth, 1-2? It doesn't really matter. Maybe a 2-person, it does. Maybe we can take a little more risk with some of the stuff. But in any of these situations, if you don't get Steph on your team, who else really are you getting that could replicate Steph Curry. I mean, you can get great floor spacers and great 3-point shooters as well too, like for sure. And again, maybe this is Steph Curry propaganda, and I'm not saying stretching his value, but it's like LeBron and Magic, and not that you could even get LeBron and Magic in a situation obviously on the same team, but do they provide similar roles in a game? And LeBron, I think, has more, especially of course as time has gone on, as the game has evolved, and LeBron with it. He's the perimeter stuff is definitely far exceeded what Magic is capable of. But just in terms of style of player, like the maybe bigger playmaking forward, and LeBron does of course get into a unique one-on-one. And I don't know, maybe this was a Jordan hot take. Maybe this is when Sam was on here with the LeBron propaganda on the last live stream. Now I'm subconsciously like thinking of ways to lose Jordan in like a a number one player ranking context. But are we gonna get up here and say like we would rather take Vince Carter in the 5th? Chad, we would rather have Steph Curry in the 1st and Vince Carter in the 5th than MJ in the 1st and Steve Nash in the 5th. But I don't think you get Steve Nash in the 5th. But again, just types of like that might be the second. I mean, Steph Curry for a while there, that was the role. It's like, and with Steve Kerr being the guy that worked in Phoenix and then getting the job in OKC, there was a real line. And Steve, and not just with the way Steph played, but Steve Kerr was also bringing elements too as well to directly influence Steph with things that they were doing with Steve Nash from those Phoenix Suns teams. But I mean, it is what it is, Chad. Steph Curry offensively is just multiple levels above Steve Nash, and that's no disrespect to Steve Nash, but the scoring and the spacing and the 3-point shooting is just, and not to say that Nash wasn't a great 3-point shooter, not to say that Nash couldn't be as equally deadly as you can continue to expand the things that as he does, but none of these guys are Steph Curry. And I don't know if we need to do like a full on NBA like 1-of-1 rankings at some point, but I mean, you think about the center position as well too. Like, again, if you look at point guards, like again, the point guard position, like Magic and Isaiah versus Steph. Again, you're gonna be fine with all these guys, but times like Isaiah's a type of guy shooting more 3-pointers. He definitely is still, I think, gonna be very, very deadly. But no disrespect to Isaiah, he's probably just not gonna be Steph Curry level 3-point shooting and not gonna provide you the same sort of level of gravity. And again, like Kareem, man, like, and I was thinking about like if Wemby like hits even some levels of his full ceiling, again, maybe he doesn't, enter, and not saying that he couldn't, maybe he doesn't enter, top 25, top 2015, all players of all time, who knows? But if there's a situation where it's like, okay, Kareem's here, but also down the big board, like Wembanyama, you get the size, you get the defense, you get all the stuff, like, but then just the center position as well, where you just have all, Shaq and David Robinson and Hakeem maybe is more like him and Duncan hybrid, center forwardy type stuff a little bit. But and with how we even like build out teams as well too in the modern NBA with how centers could be used, like certain guys' values. I know like locker room. Are we including locker room aspects like peak Dwight Chet? I don't know. The fact that I even brought his name up, like people are gonna start getting mad about that as well too. But it was just. To me, it was just it's like, am I starting to realize that Steph, and it is as well too with the 3-point shooting, the way the game's evolved. Like, if you have Steph Curry out there, you have this cheat code in just a certain way. And the defensive stuff, you could say, we're going to get a team with a bunch of bigger wings, and yeah, maybe Steph is higher on the all-time rankings than Dominique, but we're still going to be Dominique's still like, 3rd or 4th best player on the team, and maybe he's like, he might be 2nd or 3rd in this situation, honestly, if we're doing like an all-time 30. I mean, Dominique's probably like top 50, 55 player of all time. So he's definitely gone by the time the second round's over, for sure. But then again, in the redraft, like, where does Cooper Flag go in the redraft, chat? But over Dominique already, I guess an injured Cooper Flag over peak Dominique Wilkins. We'll put up a poll and see what you guys think. But is that a controversial poll? We'll have to put a couple more options in there to balance it out, I think. But regardless, what would Dominique Wilkins is top 60 in this redraft. So, second best player of the team. Maybe he's still able to like attack Steph in a way. Like maybe there's an argument there with the wings that you're able to bring in. But Dominique's another one, chat. Like Clyde. Like if you're in the second round, like, and again, I'm not. I am underestimating the just the MJ aura of it all. But that's what I'm saying. If we just kind of look at the basketball skills that each of these guys provide, like it just kind of dawned on me that like, oh man, I might have to not to. I don't even. Again, it's the career stuff as well too. Like, am I saying Steph Curry is the greatest player of all time because now I'm putting him over LeBron, chat, and I'm gonna have to stay inside the house if I start putting him over LeBron. People are gonna get really upset about that. But that's it, from an on the court value standpoint, and it's as well to just the continued realization of how impressive that finals was that he won, and how he's continuing to his performance is getting this Warriors team to the 6th seed. Chad has just been massively impressive. I will always remember this Steph Curry year that maybe they got to the 5 seed and then win 7 games in the first round and still lost somehow. Who knows? But I'll always remember this Steph Curry season as impressive. Oh, it was Wiggins, Chad. Shout out. It was Wiggins as the third guy in the Heat big three. He's got 17 tonight, 2 for 6 from 3. So, not necessarily a career lights out 3-point shooter, but also, just the fact that you lose your star and now your team's in a different direction. I think Khalil Ware would have been getting minutes anyways, but now you get a different sort of role for him as well too. So do we need to look up the numbers? I need to watch more Miami Heat. I'm not even gonna lie. Khalil Ware, Bam, Hero, and Wiggins. That's kind of a fun lineup. Is that 5? That's 4. Who's the 5th guy out there? Jovic? When he's healthy, I think he's not playing tonight. He's hurt with something. So who knows how long the timeline is for that. We got a Pell Larson performance. The next Heat culture guy, chat, Pell Larson. I think we all saw that coming when the draft, when they picked him up. But that's a fun little. I guess you could have Duncan Robinson out there as well too, as the 5th guy in that lineup. So there's some fun stuff going on here with Miami. I can see the numbers. I'm back in, chat. The numbers, they are good. Miami's legit. But not the, again. What is the long-term core of Wiggins, Hero, and Bam? But it is the role. It's complicated to think about how they would get a kind of. I guess you could draft a guy. I guess that would be it, right? If they just drafted a guy at like 16 that was a franchise player, maybe Donovan Mitchell, Kawhi, Giannis range for. I don't know where they're at in the draft right now, Chad. I don't even know who the swing type player would be, because you think again Paul George was in that range, so that big wing with some maybe potential perimeter upside. So they're at 11 right now, and I don't know if they're at risk if this pick's like lottery protected if they've got to stay in this range. And with the looks like and they would have that Warriors pick from the Butler trade. So 11 and 22 could give you a little bit of move up range as well, If I'm San Antonio, I haven't fully dug into the draft at this. I haven't fully dug in. I haven't fully dug into the draft at this point yet. But if we're sitting at number 9 and they want to give us, is that too much to throw in 22 to move up 2 spots? It might be. Maybe we have to give up what's our 2nd round pick? Our 2nd round pick's going to Minnesota. Yikes. Oh, 39. We have 39. Or are we getting Minnesota's 2nd? Or wait, is that the Jazz? Did I just subconsciously see the Spurs logo when I didn't? I think I did, chat. I think I just saw the Spurs logo in place of the Jazz logo. I legitimately saw the Spurs logo there for a second. Unless the computer glitched. IT, check the tapes! Did you catch me? Am I biased? I think it did, chat. Okay, yeah, it makes sense. I was like, I don't remember San Antonio getting a 32nd pick from Minnesota. I remember us trading Dillingham away to Minnesota, and getting a 2030 first round pick, but not a 2025 random 2nd rounder. But maybe it got to Jazz through the Spurs, and then they thought that they just hadn't updated. I don't know, chat. But yeah, you got me, chat. Biased Spurs fan here. Hornets, though, with the back-to-back 2nd rounders, that could be a deadly combo, the 33rd and 34th picks. But maybe we throw in 39. If we throw in 39, do we have a pick in the 50s? No pick in the 50s. Maybe a future 2nd, some cash considerations. Who knows, Chad? See, I'm starting to turn into the stingy GM. I don't know, Chad. Giving up my 39th pick to to move back 2 spots to get the. I guess we're turning our 9th into an 11, but we're turning our 39th into the 22nd. So you kind of have to do that. And you get Danny Wolf from Michigan. So speaking of guys that could just randomly turn into superstars, Chad, Danny Wolf from Michigan, who should be playing here in a little bit. And we probably should be listening to the Playboi Carti album as well, too. Should we wait for Sam to log on? Make no mistake, I think this Playboi Carti album's like 25 songs. So if we get started without Sam, there'll be plenty of songs for him to listen to and catch up on. It's just what it is. I think in hour 16. So, I mean, make no mistake, chat. Obviously, if it's quality, it's quality. And I'll be there for it all hour 16 if it holds up. But 30 songs. Whoa! Playboi Carti. Is he retiring? Is this his last purchase? He's giving us all the music? But did he add songs? I saw something on every time I log into IG, of course, it's new spoilers about the album. Again, I haven't listened to it yet, so I do want there to be some surprises. I know like Academics tweeted out the feature list and stuff, but make no mistake, like we said in the past, chat, I don't have the retention of an athlete. So I was like the guy in the huddle that forgot to play right away. I saw that feature list and then immediately scrolled past and was like, wait a second, who was on that album besides Kendrick? It's just, you see Kendrick, you're like, okay, I'm good, I'm moving on. But I did see some other stuff as well, too, about Kendrick for this album. So I don't know how much I'll say, just in case anybody else has saved the listen for right now for some reason. Or, you know, you guys as well, too, just are like, wait a second, Playboi Carti dropped an album? Or you were boycotting Playboi Carti if you didn't see it on there this morning, and now you're like, oh, wait a second, it's finally back on there? Fine, okay. I'll listen to it, I guess. But 30 songs. He gave us the deluxe just immediately. Did they maybe that's what it was, chat. They just accidentally uploaded the deluxe version of the album instead of the whatever is supposed to be number 1. LeBron said give 2 more for y'all. Playboi Carti said don't even wait, chat. Oh man, 4th quarter tied up. Celtics Heat 78-78. The regular season, chat. We're swatting away Pritchard at the rim. Yikes. No Porzingis, obviously. So Spoelstra, you know, he knows how to motivate the guys anyways. Whatever kind of smack talk he can do to get his team to play good against the Boston Celtics. Or is there something those Celtics people are doing to Miami that get him motivated, chat? Who knows? The clashing of... It's some different vibes between Miami and Boston, that's for sure. Oh, Cade on the other end picking up the foul. It is what it is. But, yeah, I guess we could see what else was happening here quick in the other tournament games as well too for college. And shout out to the ladies tournaments, chat, as those have wrapped up. And somebody at work was commenting as well too about with the merging conferences how it's weird to see some of these tournament matchups being like the Big Ten tournament was. I mean, we were talking about the Michigan State earlier. Their win today was against Oregon, so you're looking at the Big Ten tournament still like trying to register it being a Big Ten tournament game. And again, to go back to the ladies tournament, I think the Big Ten championship this year, it was UCLA versus USC. So that matchup does make that's a Pac-12 matchup. You know, it makes sense. Those teams have played each other in championship tournament formats before. But for at least the one labeled the Big Ten tournament, it was a little bit different. But St. John's has stormed out in the second half. Yeah, because they were losing at halftime. 2-point game. Marquette is ranked 25. So if this game was on Billis or on ESPN, we're just calling it Billis now, chat. BILAS instead of ESPN. It is what it is. Shout out Jay Billis, but maybe Jay Billis would be in the mix for this game if it was on ESPN. But no Hauser brothers left on Marquette. No, who's the other guy? Marcus Howard. He's going pro. So Patino's got this team playing well. Is this a freshman, chat? Like a top 10 recruit type guy? Do we need it? Where's he at in the draft? Is he one of those Spurs picks? Is his name on the list? Zuby? Shout out. Maybe he's like top 10. Or maybe he's just one of those guys that hasn't quite picked up the steam yet in the draft circles. And he'll need to have the rise. Oh, Chad, I'm not seeing his name on here. Is our guy Zuby? So he must be he must be a senior, chat. Teams are out. He's a senior, and teams do not want to participate in his future career. But we'll give him one more shot. St. John's, where you at? You got anybody on this? Again, shout out to Danny Wolf being the only Michigan guy. Making the list. But, oh. St. Joseph's, San Diego State, South Carolina. No St. John's? No love for our guy Zuby? Disrespected, chat. So the Spurs need to keep their eye on this guy as an unrestricted, like a undrafted type free agent. Seems like solid numbers this year. 13 and 8, chat. 57% from the field. What are we looking at here? 6'9", 240. Oh, big man, chat. I feel like a lot of the guys that can be center, probably again 6'9", is he power forward-ish. So, if he doesn't have the range, I get maybe the stock is not there. But a lot of guys, there's a lot of skinny centers right now, chat. Give me a center with some mass. Pause. Hey, yo. It is what it is. Sometimes you just got to verbalize what you want from the draft, chat. It is what it is. We're here to speak our minds. So, that's the thing we're looking for right now. Non-skinny centers. So maybe that's just to counterbalance the Wembanyama. It's like we can't afford more skinny. Oh, Cam Jones. Oh, and he's cooking, chat. How do we not notice this the first time around? 10 for 22. Not cooking from 3, unfortunately. 3 for 22, but 24 on the game. At least he's trying to carry. I got 3 minutes left in the game. Down 20. Unfortunately, it's not enough. But there is a tournament run approaching for Marquette. They're ranked, so even this loss will probably not deter them from being one of the top 68 teams in the nation. BYU, off of upsetting, or at least taking down Iowa State. I don't know where exactly Iowa State was rating, so how much of an upset that was. But I think Iowa State was the higher ranked team. And North Carolina, making it interesting, chat. Down 10. It's a rivalry game. Neutral court, I think, does make a big difference for these rivalry games. Like, that's the thing about Michigan, Ohio State that, and I guess I don't know if they do this on purpose for this reason, but like if they were in opposite conferences and they had to meet in the, like they could, I guess, be in opposite conferences and still like have the scheduled game every year against each other in the regular season, then, potentially meet in the Big Ten championship. But just having the fact that it's that regular season game scheduled out there means that they have to, go home and home every other year. And they're in those hostile and, or, slash whichever one you're, cheering for slash rooting against, like the hostile or the welcoming environment. And just the crazy, at least like a crazy fandom environment where some of these neutral court sites, and especially, you buy the bundle tickets as well too, like as a quarter of the fans rooting for another team and a quarter for one. And, then you get rooting for players and it's like, well, Duke would, Cooper Flag, if he's out there, guys might be rooting for Cooper Flag, but unfortunately he's not. So now are the people in the stands just rooting for Con Knuppel? Like, I don't know if he has the same necessarily transcendent sort of quality that Cooper Flag has, but we shouldn't count Con Knuppel out. Or again, North Carolina. In these rivalry games, I think if there's any team that is gonna get motivated to just make a comeback down 20, because I guess some of these teams can be more solidified than not for the tournament. I don't know if North Carolina's on the bubble or anything, but if they're just motivated for pride anyways, at least the rivalry factor of it would get you back in that. Forgetting the fact that, again, the neutral court, the tournaments, all that stuff, like, you're just like, hey, we just don't like it when these guys win basketball games. We're not fans. So here's the run by Boston, chat. 8-0 in the last 90 seconds. They've been waiting to have the little mini push away. Oh, Keita! The Tillman to Keita lob. Keita at baseline. Tillman from the free throw line, sort of top of the paint area. Maybe a dribble in before firing that lob up. So we'll see if Keita's able to knock in both here, chat. Hey, yo, pose. But we've been waiting for them to at least put a little bit of separation between them and the Heat. And I think this might be. The Heat is around the corner for the Miami Heat, chat. It's that time of the game. It's time for the Heat to bail out of the car and just leave whoever else is in there, chat. They're down 9 now. Yeah, now that Keita's made Back-to-back free throws. Down 9 with 9 minutes left. So, I don't know. I guess, are they at that level of desperate yet? Or are they just in the car going, oh, are we going to have to bail? And we'll just have to see what happens. If there was for some reason, like an alternate version of the ending of Heat where he's like, oh, okay, whew, the coast cleared up. That was a close one. And then they just drive away. Who knows, Chad? I guess it's Heat on Tubi. We need to fire Tubi. Were we talking about... Were we ranting about Tubi before we noticed Sam was in the chat? Is that what it was, chat? We were ranting about Wembanyama and Tubi? Well, we can't forget about Tubi. Wembanyama will, eventually bring up. And we will bring up again Tubi. But this is what I was saying with some of the streaming services. to bring it back an hour later or whatever. They're... With the way that some of them have focused the original content, or even now you see like the expansion of the streaming service themselves, where not even original content, but like Max is trying to be, the live sports. They've got, the news on there, and they're promoting more things than just a movie or whatever. So, again, if you're going to be even narrowing down your movie promotion, you're probably not going to be promoting some rewatch from 95, unless it's one of those, like Max Goodfellas. Like Goodfellas will always be on the banner because it's one of those movies that you have to have the streaming service for. But it's not, again, one of those like, oh, wait a second, that movie's on here? Like you have this, you need to own that movie on it. That's like a franchise player for a streaming service, which would be a good draft, chat. The build a streaming service draft. And, I don't know, movie, show, couple actors, director. IT could cook up a couple categories, I think, to make that pretty interesting. But like that has to be a 24/7 just constantly on there. That is, oh yeah, the person. I guess especially now with the ownership element of streaming, like this person owns it. That's not in risk of ever, at least hopefully, ever being taken off for some reason. And I guess, should we verify that Goodfellas is on Max right now? I'm assuming. And I think like Casino is the type of movie that I think is like a Tubi movie where when it pops on, and maybe even like I don't know what the Max streaming service or like Hulu or whatever, run for Casino would be. But that's not it's always going to be on the streaming service type movie. It feels like it needs to be. If it's not just on a streaming service somewhere, like it's a mistake, but it doesn't need to be on the same one all the time. Like, it's not that same sort of... It could be viewed from a rewatchability standpoint in the same way. But again, just the big word alert, chat. The gravitas of a movie like Casino. Again, an all-time movie, hype movie as well, too. But just, I mean, we know what we're talking about here with Goodfellas and that type of movie. But, like, Netflix, some of the stuff, like, you're not promoting sort of the rewatchable... And that's why Tubi is great, because it is just all those rewatchable movies. So they're not... Again, there is I think a Tubi original banner that I said I think because I'm not looking for it, chat. Shout out to Tubi originals, but they haven't worked their way in my rotation yet. But it is just relying on all these classics that you need to go back and see, and not necessarily a couple of headline. Like maybe like building a Tubi streaming service. Like maybe we need to clarify what type of. Maybe that's what part of the draft category is, like the streaming service that you're building, because. I would actually like assembling or I guess, curating the Tubi library, chat. That would be more fun than curating the Max library. Because I think curating the Max library is more so like, or, like, I guess Netflix is not necessarily, they don't have the movie thing quite to the history, the way so like Paramount and some of these other things do. But I think a lot, like Paramount Plus, I think is just like, hey, just try to buy the rights back for some of these classic movies. Can we get like at least a couple month run for some of the stuff that we own on here? And Paramount is great as well, too. They got some of the Eddie Murphy. Like, Eddie Murphy is a low-key, like, building block. You get the Beverly Hills Cops and some of the stuff. And Juice, was that the one we looked up a couple? Like, that's like a, Tupac, chat. A Tubi MVP and a Paramount MVP as well, too. Get Rich, Die Trying. So I think it's maybe more like the rapper movie sort of collection that is hovering around on Paramount Plus. But... yeah, it's not just like a, hey, watch the show, or we have this, we have a show and a live event and a news broadcast and a movie that we're promoting, and then, a stand-up comedy special, and also now here's like a super popular movie that's been rewatched a bunch and everybody's watching that, and maybe you'll like it too. So, it gets the algorithm, it gets the populars, it gets the of the collection that we have, here's the bigger, pause, here's like the more noteworthy stuff, here's sort of the underground classics that might be new to you. But again, it's reliant on it. That's what Tubi is. Tubi is a streaming service for those type of movies, and that's what I think. If the other ones need, and it's not like if they want to be better, they're all kind of better than Tubi in a way right now. Like it's still, I don't know, from a money standpoint, the margins. If we need to check the margins, but like I still think Netflix would rather be Netflix than Tubi. Would we have to ask Ted Sarandos, chat? But if there was a way to sort of implement it's just the DVD bin of streaming, and that's the part of the streaming services that you don't necessarily get, because you do get the big events, and again, you get the big events and all the stuff. There's maybe the TV shows a little bit more so than the movies, but the movie events can be there, and I think fortunately there is and maybe the streaming service stuff debuts weren't as successful during maybe COVID. I don't necessarily know the numbers, but there is a reason that they are going back to theaters, probably from a profit standpoint as well, not just like a big moral like let's keep theaters alive chat, but at least there is like like movies still need to be in theaters in some sort of way, but you can still do a movie event on Netflix and on Max and on these big streaming services, and we might turn into REMINGTONM's Storm Chasers here in a second, chat, because there was some alerts. I don't know. I don't really know what it was, if it's like tornado or just rain, or there's like, it's also like really like dry and humid. So there's like fire warning. Just make no mistake, chat. It's not a good time right now for a lot of things. So I think, if we're not going to burn up or get swept away or whatever, we may just, who knows what'll happen, chat, something. But with Tubi anyways, we'll have Tubi on, with whatever it is, we'll have Tubi on in the background. Make no mistake, some Set It Off will just eventually pop on and be like, recommend, you want to watch Set It Off next? It's like, well, it's setting off right now, the fire and the tornado, so we might as well just throw on Queen Latifah and go down with the storm. But the other ones don't necessarily have the push in that DVD bin, and as much as movie culture was and the thing is, it maybe does, it's just maybe a little bit more that the problem is maybe it's just a little bit more specific, where it's all sort of algorithm based, whereas back in the day it was just the guy at the DVD store was the algorithm, and then maybe he's biased to his like 7 movies, so it's like, okay, if this person is into this genre, he's gonna recommend this movie, this person into this way, he's probably gonna recommend this movie, so it's like, okay, is it still the same variety, like whatever, chat. But that was part of movie culture, was the big movie events, which Hollywood as well has argued about. It's just Hollywood is Hollywood in trouble, chat. Speaking of fires, and speaking of the industry also on fire, chat, shout out. But with the big movie events and the big crossover type things, they've definitely had moments in the past where they've argued if that'll be the same or not, but that was definitely movie culture in the past. But it was also the DVDs and the movies that would just resurface and have the second life. And again, it's still I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I feel like it doesn't necessarily happen in the same way. And I feel like it happens too, again, with movies that are, it's just like, and maybe it speaks in it's a different thing to look at as well too. It speaks to movies that live on in a certain way. Like Grown Ups, again, is like a number one, like A tier, just rewatchable streaming service movie. It's always going to be in the top 10. Anybody can put it anywhere. Whoa, yikes. is there something? We didn't need to take a break or something? Is there something else that needs to happen after that chat? Whoa, we might actually have to change the conversation. That's crazy. Tyrese Proctor out here